Hello family, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. My name is Akubeze and I'm a Christian content creator based in Lagos, Nigeria. Back with another episode of my faith series in which we are studying the great examples of faith listed in Hebrews 11 and learning lessons from their journeys. I hope you caught up on last week's video. I tried to do a live stream, the internet, I'm never doing live stream again. I said I was going to re-record the video, but then Obim kind of talked me out of it, and it's almost kind of true to Samson's character of things not just going the way you might anticipate, but still ending in praise. You can still get the message from the live stream, so please check out the faith series playlist, because all the videos are there. Our anchor scripture for this week was Hebrews 11 from verse 32 to 34. Which says, "How much more do I need to say? It will take too long to recount the stories of the faith of Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, David, Samuel, and all the prophets. By faith, these people overthrew kingdoms, ruled with justice, and received what God had promised them. They shut the mouths of lions, quenched the flames of fire, and escaped death by the edge of the sword. Their weakness was turned to strength. They became strong in battle and put whole armies to flight." I think something that I didn't make clear last week or the week before that is that this section that we've been reading from Hebrews 11 from verse 32 to 34 is really making me realize that faith is a battle. And the past few weeks we've been studying men who actually fought physical battles, but there is something that we can also take in the spiritual battles that we're going to have to fight. And I think the essence of what we've been learning, and I saw it more clearly, is that, your weakness has to turn to strength by faith. And you have to be strong in battle by faith. And no matter what else is coming against you, your faith is what must strengthen you to keep going, to keep pressing on, to keep fighting, to make sure that it ends in praise, So we are going to be focusing on Jephthah. So we're in Judges 11 and 12. So Judges 11, we start. "Now Jephthah of Gilead was a great warrior." Immediately, first line, one thing that was also clear to me was like, Gideon, Barak, and Samson, I don't think it was so clearly stated that they were warriors, they were fighters. Gideon was hiding in the threshing floor, and then an angel appeared to him and prophesied that he was a mighty man of valor. Barak as well was all hidey until Deborah got a word from God and told him, look, you have to go out and fight. Samson is meant to be a Nazarite, meant to be this consecrated guy, just dedicated to the Lord, and he's fighting lions, fighting Philistines, fighting anybody that cares to fight. So nobody else's story necessarily started off with that description of being a great warrior. So immediately it struck me, Jephthah of Gilead was a great warrior. Like, this is who he is. He's a fighter, and you'll see why. Because he was the son of Gilead, but his mother was a prostitute. And Gilead's wife also had several sons. And so when these half-brothers grew up, they chased Jephthah off the land. And they said, you will not get any of our father's inheritance. They said, for you are the son of a prostitute. And so Jephthah fled from his brothers and lived in the land of Tob. And soon he had a band of worthless rebels following him. Immediately, I just imagined this like a movie, and you can see that he literally even had to fight to survive. Like, how can your brothers come together and banish you because your mother was a harlot or whatever, and your father doesn't defend you, even your mother, I guess, is powerless. Like, nobody really stands up for you. And so he had to fight for himself, he had to fight for his survival, and he fled and lived in the land of Tob, and he made a name for himself, because we are told that soon he had a band of worthless rebels following him. You can imagine him being this kind of like gang leader with just miscreants all around him. But when you think of people with like rough childhood backgrounds, and the fighters are the ones who try and make something of themselves, he could have just said, oh, nobody loves me, and rejected himself. But he fought and prevailed. So much so that we are told in verse 4 that about this time the Ammonites began their war against Israel. And when the Ammonites attacked, the elders of Gilead sent for Jephthah in the land of Tob. The elders said, "Come and be our commander. Help us fight the Ammonites." Oh, me that I rejected. Now I've fought, I've made something of myself. People are coming for me. Jephthah said to them, "Aren't you the ones who hated me and drove me from my father's house? Why do you come to me now when you are in trouble?" "Because we need you," the elders replied. "If you lead us in battle against the Ammonites, we will make you ruler over all the people of Gilead." Jephthah said to the elders, "Let me get this straight. If I come with you and the Lord gives me victory over the Ammonites, will you really make me ruler over all the people?" "The Lord is our witness," the elders replied. "We promise to do whatever you say." So Jephthah went with the elders of Gilead, and the people made him their ruler and the commander of the army. At Mizpah, in the presence of the Lord, Jephthah repeated what he had said to the elders. Then Jephthah sent messengers to the king of Ammon, asking, "Why have you come out to fight against my land?" The king of Ammon answered Jephthah's messengers, "When the Israelites came out of Egypt, they stole my land from the Arnon River to the Jabbok River and all the way to the Jordan. Now then, give me back the land peaceably." Jephthah sent this message back to the Ammonite king. This is what Jephthah says: "Israel did not steal any land from Moab or Ammon. When the people of Israel arrived at Kadesh on their journey from Egypt after crossing the Red Sea, they sent messengers to the king of Edom asking for permission to pass through his land. But their request was denied. Then they asked the king of Moab for similar permission, but he wouldn't let them pass through it either. So the people of Israel stayed in Kadesh. Finally, they went around Edom and Moab through the wilderness. They traveled along Moab's eastern border and camped on the other side of the Arnon River. But they never once crossed the Arnon River into Moab, for Arnon was the border of Moab. Then Israel sent messengers to King Sihon of the Amorites, who ruled from Heshbon, asking for permission to cross through his land to get to their destination. But King Sihon didn't trust Israel to pass through his land. Instead, he mobilized his army at Jahaz and attacked them. But the Lord, the God of Israel, gave his people victory over Sihon. So Israel took control of all the land of the Amorites who lived in that region, from the Arnon River to the Jabbok River, and from the eastern wilderness to the Jordan. So you see, it was the Lord, the God of Israel, who took away the land from the Amorites and gave it to Israel. Why then should we give it back to you? You keep whatever your God Chemosh gives you, and we will keep whatever the Lord our God gives us. Are you any better than Balak, son of Zippor, king of Moab? Did he try to make a case against Israel for disputed land? Did he go to war against them? Israel has been living here for 300 years, inhabiting Heshbon and its surrounding settlements, all the way to Aroer and its settlements, and in all the towns along the Arnon River. Why have you made no effort to recover it before now? Therefore I have not sinned against you. Rather, you have wronged me by attacking me. Let the Lord, who is judge, decide today which of us is right, Israel or Ammon." But the king of Ammon paid no attention to Jephthah's message. At this point, what started standing out to me was, yes, faith is a battle and you have to fight the good fight of faith. But why exactly are you fighting? You have to question that. You have to look beyond and see what is really driving you. Let me just put it as simple as that. What is driving you? Why are you battling? And this is the key. This is the secret to your strength in battle. Because if you actually look beyond and see, how Jephthah narrates the history of the Israelites and how God had given them this thing as their inheritance, given them this land as their inheritance. And so what was driving him to fight was actually his belief that no, it is our entitlement, it is our right. Let God judge and decide who is right. It is our right because he gave us this land. That's why he says, your God should, keep what your God gave you, but our God gave us this land. And so what is driving you is a question that you need to ask yourself in every, situation that you find yourselves in, especially every situation that you find that you have to fight in. Really look beyond, look within to see what am I standing on here? What am I fighting for? And you will see that with faith, with an understanding of what God is doing, with a conviction of things not seen, you will actually now find the motivation, the strength that you need to be able to overcome and be victorious in that battle. And so we see that in verse 29, Jephthah made a vow that has me bewildered, but I would love to hear from you guys what you think about this. So at that time, the Spirit of the Lord came upon Jephthah, and he went throughout the land of Gilead and Manasseh, including Mizpah in Gilead, and from there he led an army against the Ammonites. And Jephthah made a vow to the Lord. He said, "If you give me victory over the Ammonites, I will give to the Lord whatever comes out of my house to meet me when I return in triumph. I will sacrifice it as a burnt offering." Jephthah led his army against the Ammonites, and the Lord gave him victory. He crushed the Ammonites, devastating about 20 towns from Aroer to an area near Minnith and as far away as Abel Keramim. In this way, Israel defeated the Ammonites. When Jephthah returned home to Mizpah, his daughter came out to meet him, playing on a tambourine and dancing for joy. She was his one and only child. He had no other sons or daughters, and when he saw her, he tore his clothes in anguish. "Oh, my daughter," he cried out, "you have completely destroyed me. You've brought disaster on me, for I have made a vow to the Lord, and I cannot take it back." And she said, "Father, if you have made a vow to the Lord, you must do to me what you have vowed, for the Lord has given you a great victory over your enemies. But first, let me do this one thing. Let me go up and roam in the hills and weep with my friends for 2 months, because I will die a virgin." "You may go," Jephthah said, and he sent her away for 2 months. She and her friends went into the hills and wept because she would never have children. And when she returned home, her father kept the vow he made, and she died a virgin. So it has become a custom in Israel for young Israelite women to go away for 4 days each year to lament the fate of Jephthah's daughter. Excuse me? Like, what just happened? And going back to what we were saying, like, what is driving you? Why are you fighting the fight that you're fighting? If you really understand, then you'll be checking the kind of vows that you're making and the kind of thoughts you'll be thinking and the kind of words you'll be speaking. Because, first of all, I was so confused how it said the Spirit of the Lord came upon him. And he went throughout the land and, he led his army. But does that mean that the Spirit of the Lord was upon him when he made that vow? It wasn't adding up, because that is not like God. You read throughout the Old Testament, he never requires the sacrifice of humans. He requires the sacrifice of animals. He sent only one human to be sacrificed, which is Jesus Christ. And that was the ultimate sacrifice, because he knew no human would ever be good enough. And so when I did some more Bible study about this, they said that this was actually a pagan culture, what Jephthah did. And remember, Jephthah's mother was a pagan. She was not a Jew. She was an outcast. She was a prostitute. And there's some speculation that perhaps that's where he picked up on this idea that, I have to sacrifice something to God and he will now come through for me. But the Spirit of the Lord was already upon him. He was already speaking with so much conviction and utterance. He already even used his own mouth to say, "Let us keep whatever the Lord our God gives us." Not what are we giving God, what is God giving us? And so I was totally confused at this point, but I feel like in as much as we learn lessons from these people, not everything is good that we learn. Yes, they have been listed as a hero of faith, but we can learn from their mistakes. And I think this was a very expensive mistake that he made. But you make a vow to God and you must keep it. And so he did sacrifice his daughter so sadly. And her story is something that I'm going to address on the Be Fruitful series. So make sure you tune into that on Thursday, because I was very intrigued about how, this is even a custom in Israel, how they weep and lament for her because, she died a virgin and she was not able to have children. So we'll unpack that in the Be Fruitful series. But lessons for faith, I think faith is actually understanding God and actually understanding who God is, the nature of God and what he would expect of you, and how really and truly a lot of the times the battles that we fight, he's the one fighting for us. And you don't have to go and kill yourself or kill those around you in the name of, I'm fighting for God. God is fighting for you. fighting through you. So just let him work. Let him cook. But anyways, we get into Judges 12. And we are told that, it's just from verse 1 to verse 7. We are told that then the people of Ephraim mobilized an army and crossed over the Jordan River to Zephon. They sent this message to Jephthah: "Why didn't you call for us to help you fight against the Ammonites? We are going to burn down your house with you in it." And I'm like, well, who are these? Apparently, the Ephraimites are some other Jews who they always just burnt. So they were not involved in the battle, and now they are pissed because they won and they don't have any stake, or should I say claim, to this victory. And so they are mad, like, why didn't you call us to fight? And Jephthah is like, I did. I called you. I summoned you at the beginning of the dispute, but you refused to come. You failed to help us in our struggles against Ammon. So when I realized you weren't coming, I risked my life and went to battle without you. And the Lord gave me victory over the Ammonites. So why have you now come to fight me? The people of Ephraim responded, "You men of Gilead are nothing more than fugitives from Ephraim and Manasseh." So Jephthah gathered all the men of Gilead and attacked the men of Ephraim and defeated them. Again, what are you fighting for, and why are you fighting? Because this one just came and poke nose in what does not concern them. Like, so faith is a battle, yes, but choose your battles and understand what you're fighting for and why you're fighting, because it's not every battle you go and put your head inside. This one did not concern them. So what were they doing? And of course, he defeated them. He captured the shallow crossings of the river, and whenever a fugitive from Ephraim tried to go back across, the men of Gilead would challenge him. Are you a member of the tribe of Ephraim? They would ask them to pronounce a word, and whoever pronounced it correctly was how they would use to know if they were really from Gilead or from Ephraim. Long story short, 42,000 Ephraimites were killed at that time. And we're told in verse 7 that Jephthah judged Israel for 6 years, and when he died, he was buried in one of the towns of Gilead. Faith is a battle, but you need to really understand what you're battling, why you're battling, who you're battling against, and pick your battles wisely under the guidance and instruction of the Holy Spirit. And another thing I really picked up on in these chapters was how it is God that gives the victory. It is God that gives us everything, and it is God that even gives the battles. Because I think back to his situation as a child, being born to a prostitute, being an outcast. God was the one that put him in that position. And then he ends up becoming this like gang leader. God gives him the opportunity for his people to now come back and ask him, okay, come and fight for us. And when he's talking, I kept picking up on this. He says, if I come with you and if the Lord gives me victory, will you really make me ruler? And they said, yes, we'll do that. Then when he's talking again to the Ammonite king, he's telling him, the Lord gave his people victory over King Sihon, and we will keep what the Lord gives us, And so that was really insightful. So I think, in summary, what I learned from Jephthah and his faith journey is that faith is a battle, but we must pick our battles. We must understand what we are battling for and who we are battling against and why, we are in the battle at all. And we must fully appreciate that it is God who gives the victory. It is God who deals us the cards that may require us to battle. God just has to be at the center of it all. If not, it's a losing battle. It can only be a winning battle if it's with God. Who is on the Lord's side? I am on the Lord's side. So, in summary, fight the good fight of faith. The good fight of faith. I'll see you next week. We'll be continuing on with Hebrews 11:32 to 34, but we'll be focusing on David. So I'll leave the studies for David in the description. I hope you were blessed by the word. I love you, but never forget Jesus loves you the most. Bye, fam.